There we go. So I want to start off this thing by acknowledging Kyle and Anna and all the work they did to pull this thing off for us. Thank you, Kyle. That's pretty cool. So our speaker, I'm going to try to pronounce this properly, is Cyril Derreumaux. Okay, I got it. He's a cross-oceanic kayaker with 2 world records. This is a long introduction. I'm going to try to wing it. Born in France, he's an American citizen now. He's traveled all over the world, and he's lived in France, England, Spain, Italy, Argentina, Brazil, speaks 5 languages, has a master's degree in international. He's an underachiever. And he's got into ocean kayaking at age 32. Never done it before. Married a California girl, moved here and thought, well, I can do this. I listened to a podcast that he did the other day, and his whole attitude was, oh, yeah, I can do that. Have you ever done it before? No. But I'm smart. I'm disciplined. I can ask people questions, and I can do this. In 2016, he crossed from here to Hawaii with 4 people in a 4-man boat, 39 days. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, got a world record. In 2022, he crossed the ocean alone, solo, completely unsupported. Took him 91 days in the open ocean. I'm scared to death right now. So I can't add anything to it, so just welcome Cyril. He's just an amazing man.
If you think of the hardest things that one can do nowadays on Earth, adventures, biggest adventures, maybe the Everest. Climbing the Everest, 6,300 people have climbed the Everest. Okay, something bigger, how about going to space? 2,300 people have been to space. Something bigger. Okay, walk on the moon. 12 people have been on the moon. Well, crossing a kayak, you don't have to go to space. There's only 4 people that had done it. I'm number 4. So I'm going to tell you today the story about why I wanted to do this. And what it took to make it happen. Yeah, like Ross said, I was born in France and I traveled around the world. Finally, I ended up in California. And I only started kayaking, I was 32. I had never kayaked before. So it's quite late in my career, so to speak. But here's my boat. The name is Valentine. And she's a kayak. It's very different than a rowing boat. If you big rowing boats, there's been 800 crossing of ocean in rowing boats, of which 230 solo. Now kayak, you use kayak paddles, no wind, no engine, no kites, and you go forward by just putting paddles one by one, right? And it's solo to the water that I can touch the water on both sides when I'm sitting down, and the cabin is much smaller, so the difficulty of being in a kayak is much greater. But you don't wonder why would you want to do this? Like every dot is 1 day. It's 91 days alone. And I wanted to do this adventure solo, so I'm alone in the boat, unsupported. That means nobody's following me from the moment I push the dock to the moment I get there. Nobody's following me for food, anything. I have to be completely unsupported and human powered. That means no engine. Sometimes I wish I had one, but no, every day. And you must think, okay, why would someone want to do this? Like, are you trying to prove something? Are you trying to learn something new? Do you want to, why would you ever want to do this? And what about the risks? You're going to be alone in the dark, you don't see land. How about what if you fall in the water? How do you communicate with other boats? How do you survive? Like, what about your food? What about your water? What about your medical assistance? How about all the tools that you need? What gear are you going to have? How do you choose them? Which ones are the best or not? And how do you train to navigate, to survive at sea? How about the animals, the sharks? And how do you train for this? I'm going to be kayaking, paddling 10 to 12 hours a day for 3 months in a row. How do you train your body for this? You do 2 hours hiking in Mount Talman. It's tiring. 10 hours a day? All these questions, I had to answer them before, because once I would be on the boat, I would be alone. And everything would have to fix the boat. Anything that breaks, carbon fiber, tools, drills, everything, I had to find a way to make it tiny and fit in the boat. So I'm going to tell you about this. Listen, look at all the things that you do in 90 days. All the people you see, all the places you go, all the things you learn. Well, in 90 days, all I've done is paddle. I've missed a lot of things, but I've learned a lot of things. So the presentation tonight is about all the learnings, all the teaching of the ocean that I can pass on to you. So before I go further, I want to show you like a little video. Kai? Oh, is Kai here? I just want to turn up the volume, if it's possible. You know how to do it? The sound, yeah. Oh. No, we said it earlier, but he was fine. It's just the sound here. Is that the remote? Yeah, but that wasn't doing it. Sorry about that, guys. It's important to have the right sound. Yeah, where's the sound was set to much higher volume.
It's one of the best pleasures of the day. More a bit. I'm so tired. Cyril! You know, my bird. And I haven't done any night paddle the whole 91 days. I'll stretch. This.
All right. Brings me back a lot of emotions. That moment when I say I knew it, that was key, because it's the realization that I had a vision from the very beginning that maybe just I could see. Like I knew it, I knew I could do it. People thought I couldn't do it, but I knew it inside. And it was a proof. Until that moment, I would not believe that I'd done it. So where does it start? It started by inspiration. Inspiration, I was reading this book, The Pacific Alone. So I had crossed 4 years before that. It was a team of 4, got the Guinness record, 39 days rowing from here to Hawaii. Amazing, but when I finished that, I said, okay, I'm not doing that, and this is too hard. But I read this book, and this is the story of Ed Gillette. Ed Gillette is an American man. He left from Monterey, went to Hawaii on his kayak, and he had a kite. So he would be pulled by the kite 64 days. Amazing guy. Back in 1987, you guys are sailors, you know, he had no GPS. He navigated with a sextant. So amazing guy. I read this book, and I'm like, wow, this is impossible. What? And then I started to think, okay, well, if I take all the knowledge that I had on my first crossing, put all the right equipment, and make a boat that is really good, super safe, then I could cross in a kayak. And I look at all the people that have done it before, and there's only 4 guys. It's like Ed Gillette and 3 other guys. But I start to do like in the movie, start to call people and say, hey, what if I do this? How would be kayak? Do I put the cabin in the front, in the back? How about the water maker? How can I have enough power to, you know, power the water maker with the batteries? So what I do is I look at who has done it before. And there's Peter Bray on the top left. He's a British man. He crossed from Canada to Ireland in 2001, 76 days. I call him. I read his book. And I said, hey, Peter, tell me about your boat. It was great. The boat never capsized. Really good. Built by this guy in England, Rob Filloy. Then I called Scott Donaldson on the top right. Scott crossed the Tasman Sea in 76 days after 3 attempts. And his decisions were to put the cabin in the front, much smaller so he could be faster. And his whole idea was to cross the Tasman Sea in 70 days. Amazing guy. And then there's Alexander Doba. He's a Polish guy. He crossed 3 times the Atlantic. And finally, I talked again to Peter Bray. He said, my boat was great because I'm looking for a guy who could build a boat. There's really nobody who can build a kayak that goes across oceans. So I called Rob Filloy and I said, Rob, would you build me a boat? I said, well, I'm retired. Peter Bray was 2001. We're in 2020. I'm the guy with, I said, I have no shop. I don't work anymore. So I said, okay, I guess I must have been convincing enough because he said, okay, I'll build my last boat for you. So there we go. The project was on because then he could send me the drawings and I could create a website and a presentation, PowerPoint, and go to see people and raise money. And then it's like a little company, you know? You have to do marketing, you have to do like business cards, go all around, hey, I'm doing this. Oh, are you crazy? Why do you want to do this? All these things, like it's the whole concept is starting the moment he said, okay, I'll build a boat for you. But I knew I needed to prepare physically because I had crossed in 40 days, but without the guys. Now I'm going to be alone. What happens if I break down physically? I get hurt. Well, how do I do this? So I go to this studio here in Mill Valley, and I went to see. I said, okay, I need to do a VO2 max. So you go on that bike and you pedal a certain power, a certain wattage, and you pedal for 2 minutes, and then you increase the resistance. It takes the blood every minute from your lobe to see the lactic acid buildup. And at the end of the 2 hours, he said, Cyril, you're not very fit. Yeah, you're not a marathoner and you're not a sprinter. You're like in between. So then I knew I had to do my protocol, and I trained 1, 2, 3 hours a day. I had some months I would train higher, some months lower, but high intensity. That was the physical part. The mental part I knew was going to be really hard. Being alone makes it completely different. You have to be self-aware at all times. So I tried everything. It's beginner's mind. I'll try anything. So first I go to see all my friends who have done crazy adventures like that. And on the bottom left is Carter. He's a paddler. He's got 2 Guinness records too. And I say, hey, if you had to do this, how would you do this? Oh, how about things? How about training? How about nutrition? How about the gear? All that. I was trying just to get more information and more information. Again, you can read all the books you want, all the podcasts, until you have to build your own boat that has never been done before. Then, you just have to make it up. There's no blueprint. But the mental, I tried everything. On the top left, I'm here in Schoonamaker Beach, doing the cold water soaking in the middle of the winter, just trying to get accustomed to being cold and okay, mentally calm down. It's okay, you got this. But then there's on bottom right is Pierre. He's a French guy who saw a post that I did on LinkedIn, and he said, I'm a mental coach. Can I help you? Sure. And then we started sessions every 2 weeks, trying to get better. Okay, what do you need? I don't know what I need. I need to be better so I don't break down when it's really hard. Okay, well, he was coaching the firemen. He said, how about this one trick? I'm going to give you an example. Do you know how to pilot your stress level? What do you mean? Well, the firemen, when you go into an emergency, you don't know if the fire is going to be 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. You can't be on the stress level 10 out of 10 all the time. You can't. When you're fighting the fight, yeah, of course, you're on the flames, you got to be on a 10. But when you go back to your truck, other people are fighting the fight. You can't be on a 10. You have to be able to bring it down. And when you go back to the station, you got to be able to be on a 2. The fire is still happening. Okay, how does that translate to the boat? Well, okay, there's a storm. I need to be paddling hard. It's middle of the night, 2 o'clock. I don't care. I have to be on 10 on 10. But the storm can last for 3-4 days. When I go back in the cabin, I should be okay and should be able to relax. How do I do that? Okay, I started Zazen meditation. I started doing a lot of things. And then after, I need to be able to replenish my batteries whenever it's calm. All these I had to learn. How do you do this? Oh, you train and then you figure it out. Training. Excuse me. But the one very interesting, when I was in India, and we did a week of yoga, because yoga was one of my crucial piece. I knew I was not going to be walking for 3 months. So how do you keep a body that is balanced? And yoga is the best for this. So we did that, and I met Agyat. Agyat is his guru from the Osha family, and he says, have you tried hypnosis? I said, no. On the beginning of my, I'll try hypnosis. What is this? Well, hypnosis is, we use it to cure, past trauma, but you can also use it to prepare yourself. It's all about working on the unconscious side of your mind. And that means I need you to come up for tomorrow with 20 sentences of how you want to feel at your core, at your unconscious level. And then we'll work on that. And I'll do a hypnosis session on you. Okay, so I came up with these words. You are doing it. You are not alone. Your instincts are powerful. So on and so on. You set the right expectations. You know what to do, etc. You never quit. And the end is you made it to Hawaii. So the next morning I get to this place and we lay down on the sofa. He puts me on that almost full sleep, super relaxed. He does this session, and after an hour he said, okay, here's a recording of that session. You need to listen to it every week until you go. Before bed, when you wake up, listen to this. Until these ideas ingrained in your unconscious. So, do I know if it worked or not? I'm not sure 100%. But what actually I did, so when I left from Monterey, the day before, I was sleeping and I was talking in my sleep. And actually my fiancé says, Cyril, we're talking in your sleep. What did I say? You said, I'm doing this. So I believe it worked. But the other thing is, okay, how do you manage your fears? I knew the cabin was going to be super small. I called Rob. I said, hey, can you give me this exact size of the cabin? I want to make a mock-up in my backyard. So I go to Home Depot, I buy all this wood. And I'm not a very good handyman. And I built that box in the back of my, and what I wanted to do is spend much time in it. And I would spend the whole afternoon in there. It was close enough to the house that I could have internet. And then I'd sleep in it, and Ashley would say, what are you doing? You're 40 years old, you're sleeping in the box? And I said, babe, it's a process. I'm passionate, this is what it is. And the whole idea actually came from Pierre. He said, whatever you fear, you have to go slowly towards your goal. Or, like, he explained it, it's called, in French, it's automatism. You can create automatism in your brain. So the idea is, remember the first time you drove your car? All right, for me with a stick shift, you first, second, you know, and then you look on the left, you blink, you accelerate to pass that car. It's the first time, it's really stressful. But then you do it 20 times, you do it, and now it's like you don't even think about it. You just drive. So you created in your mind a piece about what could be stressful, and that's exactly what I had to do. If I were going to be stressful to be in the cabin, then I had to spend time in the cabin. And what I did is I put that box on the trailer, and then I would share the dream. I painted it sologuide@hawaii.com and talk to everybody who wanted to hear. Went to the friends, sleep in the trailer just in front of their house. And then what I did is once the boat was here, then I would sleep on the trailer in the boat, and then I would put the boat on the dock right here at Sea Trek, and I would sleep on the dock. And then I put it on the buoy, and actually it was the Sausalito Yacht Club buoy, and I slept here on a calm day, and I would sleep here another day when it was rough. Just to go towards the moment where I would be out the gate and I would just drift at night and let the boat drift any kind of weather. Now I knew I was going to be alone on the boat, but I knew that I needed a team. I'm a jack of all trade. I can touch a little bit of electricity, can touch a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I'm not a pro, so I needed to get the experts. So there's an electrician here, Morgan, who said, okay, well, show me your thing. I'm going to teach you. If your batteries break down, this is how you rewire the thing so that you can put your satellite phone directly on the solar panels. Here's how to do it. But he was an expert. And then I had the same for the medical team. Same thing for social media. And I had just friends that would just say, I want to be part of that adventure. How can I help? Well, logistics, I'm going to need to bring back, you know, the boat from Hawaii. Can you look into this? Perfect. Everything that I could delegate, I could. But in the end, I was going to be on the boat. And it's problem solving after problem solving. And this picture is taken at Rob Filoy. I went to England in January 2020. I went there and I said, okay, it's completely custom to my size. I'm 5'10". We don't want it too big because otherwise the cabin would be too much windage and move around too fast. How big is the rudder? Okay, let's do this, let's do that. Problem solving all the time. But that's what passion is. Passion is like, it's not work. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and write spreadsheets of things I had to do. And you know, it's not work. It could be sacrifice with others, yeah, because you have to change your whole life for this, but for me it was pleasure. It's not sacrifice anymore, it's passion. And that's what you feel whenever you do the right thing that makes you vibrate. And then these are the pictures I get from England. Rob is doing, oh, we're gonna do this test. We're gonna see if the boat is really self-rightening. And actually we're gonna try to make it capsize. They couldn't capsize it. The ballast is so well done that they could not capsize it. And that's in February 2020. They said, okay, we're going to put the boat in container in March. March 27th was a date I had the container reserved. March 24th, you remember, in England, it was like 2 weeks before us, lockdown. Okay, well, we can't access the boat yard, so the container's outside, but we'll put it in there maybe in 2 weeks. It should be coming. And the time was of the essence because it was March. It would arrive here, May, June. Early June is the window of opportunity to take off from here. So I would have 1 month of training. And I couldn't really do it faster. Oh, I postponed it 1 year. But what happened is the boat arrived in September. Then I had to postpone it 1 year. And then that was quite a disappointment because, well, all right, I've been training like crazy for a year. But hey, that's how it is. I mean, you know, let's use the mental tricks that I've used, that I've learned. So here's the boat. This is the Sea Trek docks over there, and you can see Valentine. She's like about the same length as 2 double kayak, and then as wide as it. And then you can see the solar panels. Here's my sitting position in the middle in the cockpit. I've got a baler in case it gets swamped, and any wave will swamp it because I'm solo to the water. And I've got a water maker in the back in the cabin, and I'm trying just to spend time on it. And that's the best training. Training for the worst. Safety first. So I do all the training. VHF, first survival, first aid, survival at sea. How do I sew myself if I'm cut or something? Anything. And this is a life raft that I have. In case my boat sinks completely, I got this life raft. I couldn't find a life raft that was small enough because everything's small. So I had to find it in the aircraft. And actually I didn't want to have anything at all because I knew my boat was unsinkable. If it gets swamped, completely swamped, it's not gonna sink, so it's my best life raft. But then I had a conversation with my fiancée. She said, if you don't take one, you're not going. Okay. I want to buy one, babe. But here I am, in the bay, right there. You probably saw me up and down. And then that's actually those boats that you can see. And then that's great because I'm trying to get more, resonance and people talking about it, the press Latitude 38, and having like some people talk about it because I need more sponsors. I need to finance it. It's expensive. So having good pictures, I found a photographer from Sacramento. He comes and Tom says, okay, well, I'd love to take pictures of you. So, okay, let's meet at the point at Yellow Bluff. And I'll go under the Golden Gate. It'll be mythical pictures, like super epic, yeah. And I go there, and that day, a whale came out just for me. And I see the spout going, and I call him, Tom, I'm gonna chase that whale. And we chased it. It was just under the Golden Gate. We don't see it because it's really zoomed in, right? But it came up just next to me. Wow. Good omen. So nice. Finally, okay, that's June 2021, because that's 1 year after COVID. I'm ready. So I've got all that food, about 220 pounds of food. It's 4,000 calories a day. And I have to make it fit. There's no room. How do I fit? It was one day super stressful. And then I fit it in, and finally I go to Horseshoe Cove. And one morning, actually I think it's so funny because you guys know everything. Horseshoe Cove, Fort Baker. That morning it was ebbing, 5 o'clock in the morning, no wind for 3 days, perfect, let's go. And I felt like, yes, I did it. Because in these kind of adventures, the hardest is to get to the starting line. It's making your room in your life, because hey, I had a job. How do I do if I go 3 months on the water? I gotta put that aside. I gotta pay for the bill, mortgage. I gotta put that aside. I write to write my will. What happens if I die? All these things, all the emails. Okay, you have to put everything aside for this adventure. So getting to the starting line is hardest. And I feel like, yes, this is what I want to do. I feel so alive. This is exactly what I want to do. So I take off. This is familiar to you. It's about Point Bonita. The last picture before I go in the ocean straight, and the boats turn around. And you can see the container ship that are coming. You're familiar with those. First day, perfect. I do 2 miles. And you can see the fire lens on the left. So it's pretty good distance. I'm good physically. I'm feeling strong. I'm going easy because I know it's going to be a bit long trip. I'm dealing with seasickness because I'm always seasick, so I puke a little bit and I force myself to eat and drink. Sleep deprivation is also a problem. I have to wake up every hour. And my trick is, so on my plotter, I can see other boats on the AIS. And I can see up to 20 nautical miles. So if I know they're going about 15 miles an hour, so if there's nothing on that circle, I know that I'm clear to sleep for 1 hour. So I sleep for an hour, wake up an hour later, look at that, okay, I'm good for another hour. But you see, it's like a highway over there. So the first day is doing good, second day is doing good, third day is doing good. And then my weather router, Michel, one of the guys on the team, sends me info. He says, Cyril, you're gonna have to be patient. There's a storm and it's coming. We didn't see it coming. You know how it is in the summer. It's June 2021. And it's gonna be 20 knots the first day, 25 the second day, 30, 35 the third day. It's gonna last for a week. And in that case, I can't do anything. My speed is 2 miles an hour. So there's a wind of 25 knots, winds of, waves of 10, 15 knots. I can't do anything. So in that case, what I do is like the sails boat. I just go inside the cabin, wait it out. And I put a sea anchor, which is a big parachute, behind my boat. And then it puts the boat perpendicular to the waves and just ride it out. So for 3 days, I'm inside. I'm just waiting out. There's nothing to do. And I feel like I'm pretty good. I'm like mentally, I'm actually not that stressed, not that fearful until something goes wrong. Suddenly the weather goes from bad to worse. It's like crazy. And then I communicate my land support, everything's good. And suddenly things go wrong. And it's the accumulation of little things that increase the stress level. First thing is my cockpit gets swamped all the time. Okay, I pull the little button, the bilge pump just goes and empties the water. This time it doesn't. Why? All right, I would figure out later that it was actually a feather that got stuck in the pump. So I couldn't empty it, but a little bit of stress. 7 p.m. I sent a text, to my land support, like I check him every night, and he says, Cyril, I don't see you on the AIS. What are you talking about? Look at my plotter, I'm here. And then the stress level is a bit more, because if he can't see me from his screen, that means other boats can't see me. It's getting dark. So, okay, a little bit of stress. And then, because the waves are so big and the wind is so strong, then the problem is the communication is very delayed. I send a text, I've got to answer half an hour. So what I do triangulation with different GPS that I have, but suddenly it's 10 p.m. at night, it's completely dark, and the wind is like 35 knots, gusting 40. I don't know if you've been out in this condition, but it's pretty moving out there. And suddenly my boat goes sideways to the waves. It's normally perpendicular. Suddenly it's like from 1 second to the other, parallel to the boat. And bang, bang. I'm knocked, and then I have no clue what's happening, what's going on. My sea anchor, I know it's got to be this. I try to look, I don't see it. So I go out of the cabin, and obviously I put all my gear. It's blowing, I'm attached with a tether. I close the hatch, I don't want any water coming in. There's maybe like a gallon that comes in. It's not too much water, but suddenly my dry spot, my safe cocoon is wet. So I'm like cussing in French, I tell you. And anyway, and I looked at the retrieving line. So the sea anchor, it's a line that goes out, and there's a parachute, and the retrieving line goes on the back. And you pull on that, collapses the parachute, and brings it back. It's entangled in my rudder. For the last 3 days, it's been moving like a bronco, got caught in the rudder. So suddenly, that means that the sea anchor is not doing its work. And I'm like, okay, one solution. I swim, I go there in the back, I'm attached. And then, but what happens if I get hit? Like the boat hits me, I'm passed out, that's it, I'm done. Second is to wait it out. The weather router told me it's gonna last another 3 days. But I'm in the cabin, I'm attached here, there's a strap here on my chest, one of my hips, and I'm moving like this, but I can't make water, I can't eat, I can't poop, I can't drink, I can't pee, like I can't do anything, and then stress level is high. So the one of waiting is not a good option. The last one is the one that had safety first. And it took me like a while to decide, because I hadn't been training for 2 years. A lot of investment, all my life was in this. And then suddenly, okay, the best decision is to call the Coast Guard. That's the last one, and we decided to do this. Coast Guard come, I'm about 70 miles offshore of Santa Cruz, they come with a helicopter, amazing, the diver, they come, they save me, super safe, super relaxed, calm. They leave the boat in the water. They save your life, they don't save the boat. An hour later, I'm there in SFO. What the heck just happened? 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what? The boat is still over there, and the first thing I need to do is actually to call Scott Donaldson. That's Dave, my land supporter. We do a Zoom call. And Scott says, okay, well, you gotta go get that boat, because, what, you're gonna give up now? No, I don't wanna give up. Well, how did you feel? Tell me about this. Why do you think it didn't work? Well, I was prepared. And yeah, but you were rescued, so you think you were prepared? Well, yeah, my first, physically I felt good. I did 90 days in 3 days. Yeah, but you were rescued, so were you prepared? Yeah, but when they rescued me, I had all the protocols. I had my survival gear, I had the PFD, I had the strobe, I had the VHF, I would talk to them. No, but you were rescued, so were you prepared? And I was like, fuck, okay, I wasn't prepared. So it pushed me to the point where I had to admit that somewhere, somehow, I didn't make it. And it's okay, it's just, okay, you're there, your body's there, go get it now. So then I finally find a towboat in Santa Cruz. We go, it was 70 miles offshore, so we left at like 4 o'clock in the morning, got there early morning. And the first thing I saw was Valentine. She was fine. She was bubbling around 3 days later. So then I realized, what? If I had passed out, wake up 3 days later, I would have been fine. I thought I was gonna die, but no. The first thing I need to do is increase my confidence in that boat. That boat is rubber ducky, it cannot sink. So obviously I wasn't prepared mentally, but I thought I was. I could have sworn I was prepared. No, I'm not. Okay, so now what do I do? Fuck, I can't go in 2 weeks. Everything's wet in the cabin. My battery's not doing good. It's like, okay, I gotta take a year. And then on the press, everybody's like, oh, of course it was not really look like Frenchie. It's a little boat. What do you think? You're like, it is? All the naysayers. So I close that out. I don't care. Okay, I reassess. What do I want to do? I want to do it again. So then I have to find a job. So I call my friend David Dave, who's right there in South Salino, David Dave. And divers say, okay, well, you can be a diver. And that's exactly what I wanted. Because the reason I didn't go to untangle the rudder was because I didn't want to be in the water, in rough water. No, I cleaned boats for like 3 months in the cold water. That's what I wanted. I want to be wet and cold. That's perfect. That's the condition. It's the best training. And again, Ashley was saying, what are you doing? You speak 6 languages. You have a master's degree in international business and you're scrapping algae? Babe, that's a dream. And I was also taking kayaks and being a guide. But for 1 year, that was the one thing that I could do is do this. So I then would have time to train again. I would have time to improve the boat, change the side so I would have less water coming in, change the water pump, have a better sea anchor system. It's all about passion. So what I knew too is that I need to get more time in rough water. But every time I wanted to train here in the bay, you know, it's like a funnel and the current is so strong. You look at the ebb, it's like 3 miles an hour. I'd be out the gate and couldn't come back. So I decided to go to Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz would be the best. I knew it was going to be like really high wind for like 1 week. So I'd start from Santa Cruz, go up towards Davenport, and then as soon as I could, like the wind would pick up at noon, you know how it is in the summer? Like 20, 25, 30 knots, then I would turn around and go downwind. I would do that every day for a week, sleeping on the boat right by the dock. Until a year later, there I am, starting again, but this time in Monterey. I wanted to have like a quiet place. I didn't want to have all the press, all the people, I wanted to be relaxed. My mentality was to be different. Like for 1 year, I had this one question. Is this what you want to do to gonna improve the success rate of going to Hawaii? And it was my filter, just like the boys in the book. Is this gonna improve your capacity to get to Hawaii? So social media, press, nothing. I didn't care. Okay, being under the Golden Gate, yeah, that's great for the documentary, but no, this time I'm not gonna do this. I didn't want to have, here's the problem with social media that we have. Is that you put something out there and people are just very positive. Wow, you're gonna do it, that's great, but you get a reward for something you haven't done. And I kind of feel like a cheat after a week because I came back to the dock. I said, I don't want to have any reward. I don't want to have anybody. I'm gonna go stealth mode. And this time I'm gonna go and do it all the way. Whew. There I go. This time I'm ready. I feel like, okay, I'm not gonna give up this time. I'm gonna go. And I feel strong. I feel like my mind is ready. But hey, there's still the same thing. The first 3 days, seasickness. I'm vomiting like crazy, and then I'm feeling great. But the problem is that people say, do you like me? I wasn't stressed. I was feeling great. The moment I left, felt right. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be in the ocean. I wanted to feel what it means to push the pier with your loved one and feel what it is to be in the ocean. But there's a container ship. They're everywhere. This is like maybe a week. Each radius is 5 miles, so about 20 miles I see the boats. They're going up and down the coast, up and down. So they go fast, right? So they see me normally with my AIS, but I can't rely on them. So that's the one problem, that it was like I had to be consistently on the go. Another one was a little bit mental, is the current pushes you south, but that means I'm trying to go west. At night I would drift. I would do 20 miles, drift 5, 20 miles, drift 5, and it's taking me back. And that's the problem, bringing me back to the rocks. That's where it could be dangerous. So for like a month, I push west and always drift, push west and always drift. Not easy, but hey, I knew it. And there I go. This is about 3 weeks in, and I've got so many problems. It's like very foggy. So when I make water, it drains on my batteries. And one day I wake up in the middle of the night, it's completely dark. I don't see anything. Stress level goes up. Oh, again. Other boats don't see me. Hopefully it's going to be sunny tomorrow. I charge the batteries again. My steering line is starting to be super hard. And that's what I call my second departure. I'm really 400 miles. It's to the limit where the Coast Guard is going to come pick you up, right? After that, they're gonna organize a rescue. They're gonna put a container ship come and get you. But until at that point, so I'm looking left. I see in 1 week I'll be in Los Angeles. I can fix everything. My foot plate was doing bad. I had issues. Like one of my electronics was getting oxidized already. What? It's been like 3 weeks. It's already oxidized. And the other decision is to go right and go towards Hawaii. There's 2,000 miles. All right, and that's when it's like it's an all-in kind of thing. I was really to the point where until my boat sinks, I will not call for rescue. I will not. I'm not dying. I'm fine. I can fix that. But it's gonna be hard to steer it. So what? Of course it's gonna be hard. Let's go. So I call it my second departure, and I created this system. I call it how to become unbreakable, because I had to keep thinking, how do you become unbreakable? There's 5 steps to become unbreakable. The first one is to be self-aware at all times. Self-aware mentally, physically. What are you doing? What are you thinking? How's your mind? How's your self-talk? Self-aware. Number 2 is to be self-critical. You can't lie to yourself. Am I doing good? Am I doing bad? Self-critical. It's the most important maybe. The third one is a third-party perspective. And Dave was my lane support. He was going to tell me what I think. And it's the same in everyday's life. Somebody tells you something, you knew it because you knew you're self-aware and you're self-critical, you know it's bad, but you still do it. And the third one will tell you, hey, that's not good. That's when you have to do the 4th step, which is to reframe your mind, reframe your habit. 4th step is so hard, it could take weeks. Reframe. And the 4th is adapt and execute. And I would say, okay, I'm going to use this for the whole crossing. Self-awareness, self-critical, third-party opinion, reframe, adapt and execute. But hey, the ocean is big. It doesn't really care that you're on it. My weather router, every time he calls me, he says, Cyril, you gotta be patient. What? What now? And there was this storm that was starting to build off of Mexico, and he says, okay, Cyril, is it gonna be a hurricane when it comes to you? It's gonna be there in about a week. I should be with 25, 30 knots, we'll see. But I'll keep you updated. Stress comes up. And I was actually lucky, went down to a tropical storm. That means it was 28, 30 knots, and I was stuck in the cabin just for one day. And the next day, I kind of felt like I could go out. And it was 24 knots, I remember. And I could paddle 24 knots of wind. And at that point, it's not really the strength of the wind, but I'm still off the coast of California. It's really chaotic. There's 3 forces when you're on the ocean. The first one is the wind and the waves that are created by the wind, right? But if you have a 15 knot wind for 3 hours and then it shifts direction, you have another 15 knots wind from another direction, it creates gnarly waves. That's the one force. And then you have the swell that could come from Japan. That's a different force. And then you have the current. That's another force. And those 3 of the coast of California could be completely chaotic, so I can't really paddle and movie. You saw the movie. Like, it's so hard to get anything going. I can't wait to get to the point where the trade winds are going to be favorable and push me in the back. But what I decide is, this is like day 36, I become like so philosophical. I decide things that will happen in my boat. Like, everything has to be about being positive. I will not let anything negative in my mind, no, it's out. I think I was super self-aware of how my mind was working. And I know I'm very emotional, so sometimes I would like cry all day just thinking about my friends all over there, at home, and snap out of it. It's not helping celebrate all the small victories, all these kind of things that, the mental tricking. And when you think about mental strength, it's not about, hey, give me 10 push-ups, 10 more. Like, mental strength is the flexibility of the mind to see the situation that is happening in a different light, in a light that is bearable. That's what flexible mental is. But hey, there was a hard moment, good moment. This was a hard day. I had a compartment started to flood. Water comes in. What? I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, put my blue lamp in, and my feet are wet. What? Like water in my cabin? What's? And there was a leak somewhere. And I remember my uncle, before I left, said, Cyril, it's going to be hard. So hard. You're going to wonder why you did this. And so hard, 90 days. But remember, you chose to do this. You didn't have to. You could stay on land. You chose to do this. There's people that are fighting fights that they didn't choose. So again, I would decide I will never complain. I will not complain. Of course I complain, but then I shut myself up. Day 46, my water maker breaks. So I had solar panels, 270 watts, 2 lithium-ion batteries, and my main consumption of electricity is the water maker. This electric water maker is actually built from a company here in Derreumaux. And it works great until it doesn't work. But I had a backup of a backup. I had all the things, for everything. In my communication, I had a sat texting phone, and I had a sat phone, and I had an Derreumaux Go where I could text. And for the water maker, I had a water, just one day, my fuse popped, okay? Changed the fuse, popped again. The engine had broke, like the pump didn't work. My backup was this machine. It's a handheld water maker. So then on the top of the 10, 12 hours a day that I had to do to paddle, I would have to do 2 hours of arm wrestling with this machine to make a gallon of water that I needed. But hey, I'm not gonna complain. I decided to do this. Halfway point. I had calculated I was gonna cross in 70 days based on speed that I was doing in the bay, based on the weather, based on my boat. Well, I arrived halfway point is day 50. So I thought it was gonna be 70 days, but day 50, I'm halfway point. And my first crossing on the rowing boat, halfway point was like great. Every day that we go is downhill. Every day we go is gonna be closer to the goal. This was so hard mentally to think, what? I already had lost like maybe 7, 8 pounds. 50 days, I've got another 50 days? No way. So then that was really hard, but mentally, I had to reframe. I had to find a way, okay, how to become unbreakable. I had to reframe. And the way I did it was, well, how do you eat an elephant in life? In one bite at a time. I had to do it one bite at a time, but there it was 50 days. I ate half of the elephant. I was puking elephant. I can't eat more of, reframe it. How do I reframe it? Okay. And there was a clue that my land support said. It said, Cyril, just be in the moment. Take it all in. And then I thought about it. Of course, I have all day to think about these things. I have nothing to go and to do. And okay, well, instead of saying, I'm crossing in a kayak to get to Hawaii, which was what I said, I'm going to Hawaii. Where the goal is to get to Hawaii, and I don't reach my goal until I'm in Hawaii. Then I reframed it very subtly and said, okay, I'm going to go on an adventure, on a journey to enjoy the day-to-day to get to Hawaii, to cross the ocean. So then my goal is a day-to-day, is enjoying the birds, it's enjoying the waves and the mahi-mahi and the flying fish and the clouds and even the rain, even the wind. That's what it is. The goal is that. And then, it's what you learn in Buddhism, this like enjoy the moment. The past doesn't matter because it's past. The future doesn't matter, it's not here. Then it just clicked, and you could read so many books, but that was real. Like I became so philosophical, like the connection that I had with the birds. They would come every day to see me, and the birds, imagine those birds, the albatross, they just glide. If you've gone in the ocean, it's so beautiful, and they'll come and check on me. And suddenly the relationship, they come like it's more than just a bird. It's somebody who's checking on my well-being. And the same for the mahi-mahi. There's mahi-mahi there, the tuna that were following me. They're like my pets. So the connection I had was like spiritual, and I started to write blogs about love, and that's how love is really what the world is. Like everything we do in life is about love, and I write that blog. And then 3 days later, I would write about fraternity. What if we were looking at each other as brothers and sisters? When I could change the world, I was like such in a place that was amazing, and that's because it's a decluttering. I don't have phone calls. I don't have emails. I don't have a calendar. All I have to be is here. It's a meditation for 90 days. Sunrise, sunset. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. I know that discipline is going to be key though. So it's not all about looking at the sunrise. Discipline is key. I knew that the moment I would slack off, that's the moment when things could go wrong. And my friend Erden, who crossed many times on a rowing boat, said, okay, the moment you stop brushing your teeth, that's the problem. The moment you don't make the water when you have to make the water, the moment you don't swipe your body to remove all the salt, that's the moment you have to watch. Discipline was going to be so important. And I had the discipline of hygiene. Like, you're sitting down like for 90 days. I didn't walk for 3 months. So I needed to stretch. I needed to have the discipline of hygiene and making sure I would take care of my wounds and because nothing heals on the water. It's wet all the time. My hands were white. But then that's when the definition of success is important. What is success? Is it getting there fast? No, I'll get there when I get there. Success for me for this trip was 1, to stay alive. 2nd, to go get to Hawaii, and 3rd, have fun in the process. That's a picture that was taken 70 miles before I got to Hawaii. 70 miles, that was exactly the same distance that I picked up my boat the first time when it was offshore and I got to be rescued. But then I had crossed the whole ocean and I felt like, yes, I'm getting there. But I didn't call it a victory. I knew that any moment I could get out of the cabin too fast, I could twist my ankle, twist my hand, that's it, I gotta be rescued. What, 3 days to Hawaii? There's no way. I was so scared of getting hurt. It's crazy. But then I felt like the ocean tested me, but it accepted me. I felt like the last 3 days, the current was so much stronger, and I was doing like 35 miles a day. Normally I would do 20. Yeah, I was accepted by the ocean. It was like something spiritual. Until the day I saw land, I knew it. That's when I released my pressure internally and said, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get there no matter what. And that was a bittersweet because I was eating the rest of the elephant. I was finishing the elephant, and that thing that seemed to be impossible suddenly was like, okay, well, tomorrow the adventure is done. And that's bitter, because my world of being connected to the ocean in such a way that I can't even explain to you. Of course I'm happy to get there and see all the people and loved ones that came from California, from France, my parents, my friends, hug everybody, your nephews and the kids, all that. I want that so bad. But then, so it's like hard to explain that you're in the middle of 2 worlds. But yeah, I did it. Yes. Finished it. So good. And then I'm just feeling so thankful. I'm feeling thankful of the people that believed in me in the beginning. Of course, the people that say, yeah, you're going to do it, that's great. And then the people that actually think it's going to be a tough one to do. But hey, if you train well, if you prepare well, the logistic is correct, and you're prepared, you can do it. And the people that actually think it's not a good idea at all, but they still tell you, you know what? Follow your dreams, do it. And the people that think, I'm never going to make it because it's too hard, but they still tell you, hey, it's your life, do it. So happy. The intensity of emotion when I get there. And then I have a hard time explaining why to people. Why did I want to do this? And I think I kind of had some answers where I wanted to feel what it is to be in the middle of the ocean. Feeling, super proud of having pushed yourself and done something alone. All my adventures that I had done before was just with other people. This is solely my effort, solely, me reframing my mind all the time and staying with it. But I could not have done it without the friends. This Chago, my buddy, who was my coach, pushing me all the time and jumped. He wanted to be the first one who touched me. He said, yes, you did it. The emotion of, obviously, the loved ones. My land support that was here, he was like my guru the whole trip. Like I couldn't have done it. And then suddenly, all the little things, it's so emotional, just grow. Anything like you see a butterfly, wow, it's a butterfly, wow. Take a shower, but turn it on, it's hot water coming in. Sleep on a bed with a dry sheets and a pillow, wow. No, but I'm laughing, but it's so true. Like everything that is so natural became amazing again. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I learned a lot. I can't even explain to you what I've learned. I think all the values and attitudes that I had before, it was the same. I don't know if I really changed so much in terms of values. They just gained in intensity. A friend of mine said, oh, Cyril, those 3 months were so long, so hard, but 3 months, really, you're 46. 3 months is nothing compared to your life. And those 3 months are going to decide the way you're going to see the world for the next 45 years. So those 3 months that were so hard were probably one of the best investments I've ever done. I had a dream, I pursued it, I fought for it. I did it. And I think you guys can do it also. Your dreams. Let's do this, just one life. Let's live it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here if you have any questions. Yes.
What's next?
What's next?
Australia.
In December, I'm doing the Atlantic. Same boat. I'm now refurbishing it, and I'm going to go from Canary Islands to Barbados. So there's going to be a bit of logistic. I have to send the boat to first to Europe and bring it down to Spain, go in the ferry, go to Canary. But it's a little bit longer than the one I've done, but the trade winds are a bit stronger and the currents too. So I actually postponed my decision to do anything. I came back, and I know that, you know, one of the problems that adventurers do like this is they want to do something else. You want to rebound because you feel a bit, you know, like it's hard to come back to land back on normal life. But I knew that I wanted to have 2 years of normal work, go routine, and then feel it again. I needed to feel it. You can't want it halfway. And then the ocean, I think, is really calling me. And that peace that I felt, the spirituality, it's just indescribable. You know, I feel alive and I just love it. So I want to go back. Yes.
What do your wife and kids think about this?
Wives and kids?
Yeah.
Well, my kids are 18 and 15.
How
And
about-
they I don't know. They've seen me do that, and I try to tell them that this is what life is all about, is follow your dreams, like feel the vibration. And what they think, I actually have a hard time to see them, because I would like them to be more involved in my adventures. And I don't know if they understand. Maybe they'll understand when they grow up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, some of us row on the bay here, and we watched you in the early days of this adventure, out here on the bay, getting used to it. And we thought with skeptical envy, this guy's crazy,
Yeah.
right? But you took this dream and made it work.
Thank you. Yeah. I love life to the fullest, and I'm not a maverick. I think the adventurers before, like 10, 15 years ago, were maverick. They were. I wanted just to experience, so I was planning every little detail, and that's the only way that my mom would let me go. I was planning, so it's not like an adventure where I'm. Thank you so much, my brother. Come here and give me a big hug. All right. Yes.
So I get seasick when I've been at sea for a while and get on land. Did you have that experience?
Yeah, so seasickness, I know it's just a process, it's your mind just getting adapted. So I knew it was last 3-4 days. So that's the first days. The last days when I get to land, yeah, you have sea legs and you're like, everything moves around, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And after 24 hours, it was fine. Yeah, no problem. Yes.
In Unbroken, you talked about Unbreakable.
Yes.
Did you get any inspiration from Vinnie Zamperini, who got shot down in World War II and drifted in a raft for how many number of days before he got rescued by?
No, I didn't know about this story. No, I read so many books. I'm still reading
Oh my
books
God,
about.
you should read that.
Okay.
He was Unbroken.
Unbroken. Okay.
Vinnie Zamperini, World War II.
Okay, I love it.
He ended up in a prisoner of war at that point.
Oh, wow.
Japanese. Very sad situation.
Yeah.
He encountered what you were talking about, drifting for
Yeah.
60 days.
Yeah, there's a Frenchman that actually was voluntary to cross the Atlantic just like this. With no food and no water, he was just wanting to explain that he could survive, and he did it. I mean, those guys are maverick, it's what it is.
He had an albatross.
Yeah, he made albatross.
He had an albatross
Yeah,
to survive.
yeah. Other questions? Yes.
How are your legs after not walking?
So my legs were actually okay. So what I had done, I didn't talk about it, but I read a lot. Ed Gillette, the guy who crossed, with his kite, he arrived after 60 days. His legs were atrophied, and I knew that was a big problem with the kayak. So what I did, I added a pedaling system, and I would do an hour a day pedaling and just having like strong legs. And when I arrived, I actually, well, after 5-10 minutes, I would have to sit down because I didn't walk, right? So all the my hips and knees would hurt, but you know, yoga, and then it's good. Yes.
How long was your yoga routine every day?
Yoga? Oh, I actually hate yoga. But it's like eating your veggies. It's like, you know, it's good for you, so I do yoga, but I hate it. I do downward dog right now, I hate it. Yeah. But it's the best for you, so do it. That's it. Yes, ma'am.
Some of the photos you have of the sky and the water when you were out there solo, and the connection of the beautiful sky and the beautiful water solo, nothing else
Yeah.
beside that, except for you, the three of you.
Yeah.
Sky, the water, and that's amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. The connection with the elements was just fabulous, and you can't really feel it on land because you're constantly, you know, getting back to being protected. And it's too hot, you go in the air conditioning. You go there, the sun was burning me all day, or cold all day, wet all day. So it's then you change your relation to them. You know, it's quite interesting. Yeah. Yes, Anna.
Thanks, Cyril. Very entertaining, very interesting, and I love your resilience. That you remember the birth and the 5 steps of being a just 2 questions. When you were out there, was there anything that you thought about that you regretted that you didn't do? Like you didn't train for this, or you didn't practice, or that you wish you would have done this? And then just out of sheer curiosity, what was your first meal that you were craving when you got back?
So for the meals, I didn't eat hot. I had a little stove, so I ate cold the whole way. I put water in freeze-dried meals and just eat it. But all these things, you don't really desire. You know you're going to go into a uncomfortable place, and you don't do it for comfort, obviously. So you just look forward to whatever's happening, coming, and obviously being French, I had cheese when I got there. But hey, I'm half American too, so I got burger. Yeah, anything. I ate some poke, you know. I was in Hawaii, so yeah.
I have one more. How much do you expect it will cost you to do the Atlantic crossing?
So right now I'm raising funds. I need $60,000. I've got half already fundraised, and I'll be doing a fundraising event trying to raise the next 30. Now I have 10 months to do it, but I'm doing it no matter what. I'll find a way. Sorry?
Through this.
Yes. Yeah, you guys can scan this. Here you go, boom. No, so I do this talk as a motivational speaker to companies who want to inspire their employees, or I'm having fun doing it. I'm really having fun doing it. But if you think about it, you know, there's races around the world that, you know, the budget's so huge. I just need $30,000 more, and it's actually not that bad. So I'm just gonna have to find it. Yeah, it's happening. Yes.
Why stop in Barbados?
So it's the first island of the Caribbean, and when you get to a group of islands, the currents and the wind change, and it's a bit tricky with that kind of boat to stay maneuverable. So usually the best choice is the first island. So I leave from the last island of Canary Islands called El Hierro, and then I go all the way to Barbados. I wanted to finish in Martinique or in France, in Guadeloupe, but my friend who's a sailor said, you know what, it'll probably be better to start in Barbados. Yes? Oh. Yeah.
So I've done the last 2 transbacks, and it's a bit of a oasis. From like 300 miles off of California until 200 miles before Hawaii, as far as marine life.
Oh, it's crazy.
Tell us, because you were going a little bit slower than a transback yacht. What was your experience?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I love the flying fish, and there was like hundreds and hundreds of them. I did my rowing boat, I didn't see almost any. Here as a kayak, I go forward, I see all of them, and there's like hundreds of, and then you see the frigate birds trying to catch them, and there's a lot of tuna. The tuna chase the flying fish from the bottom, and the birds from the top. And suddenly at 300 miles off of Hawaii, nothing. Like the tuna understood that the fishermen came that far, and then you don't see the tuna anymore. The life can, but in the middle, yeah, it's super wildlife. I could have fished so many mahi-mahi, but they were my friends.
Did you fish?
I didn't fish, no, I could have, but I had enough food. I had 4,000 calories a day, and because my crossing was 90 days instead of 70, I had to ration. But I had enough food, yeah, no problem. Yes?
Did you see any giant waves?
Giant waves? No, I didn't see it on this trip. I know there could be rogue waves that come from nowhere, and those are very dangerous because they could capsize you. I thought the currents were going to be more favorable. It was actually pretty slow of a crossing, but you know, climate change and things are happening where.
Was that the lack of giant waves a feature of the time of year mostly?
No, so the reason I go in June is because the days are longer, temperature is better, and the hurricane season is the end of September, November. So it was good, and I just had one hurricane, but the big waves could come from anywhere. There's an earthquake in Japan, you'll be here in no time. Yes?
What would happen if you were to encounter a shark? Would your boat be shark-proof?
Yeah, so my boat, I wouldn't go in the water. I went once in the water, just to remove the barnacles. They grow so fast. So that, and funny enough, they actually just grew on one side, the port side where the sun was. On the other side, it was okay. My anti-fouling paint was doing good, but sharks is actually not a big problem. They wouldn't attack. They know that I'm a boat, and at that time, I don't go in the water. I'm actually studying a lot now about the swordfish. The Atlantic is known to have boats being attacked by swordfish. So I'm trying to see, my boat is not thick enough, it's made of carbon, it's very strong, but it would still be transferred by their bill. And it's happened in many rowing boats, so I'm trying to find a way to be able to patch it from under and then outside, etc. But there's ideas of either painting the bottom of the boat as an orca colors, so that could be a possibility, yeah. Yeah.
How do you train your body to get by in one shoulder or sleep at a time?
So how do I train my body to get by with a sleep? 1 hour, you can't. You just have to, over time you'll get there, and then in the middle of the Pacific, it was actually better because there were not that many containers. I could sleep a little bit more. And then I have this other thing called RTE, radar transmission enhancer, that has an alarm. So if the boat has a radar, it rebounces it and it actually triggers an alarm. So I know it's been pinged. Mine never worked, so it didn't work. But now I fixed it. I have a new RTE.
What happened when you got back? Were you able to go back to your sleeping?
Oh yeah, I slept right away like a baby. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I have
By
a
yourself to sleep.
little gift for you. So I told you at day 46, my water maker broke. So I had to make manual water. I had only 6 liters of water. So what I did, the first thing is to actually make safety water in case my water maker would break. So when I arrived in Hawaii, I had all this water that I had made that was desalinated from the middle of the ocean. And I took it in little containers like this, and I've got 60 of them. So this is the water from the middle of the ocean. And you gotta bring it home, and the idea is to put it somewhere by the window, somewhere on your kitchen table, to remind you to follow your dreams. So please take one before you go. Any more questions? All good? We'll wrap it up. Thank you so much.